that cash go? It goes to the corporate board members, because keep in mind a corporation is a fiction.
Yes.
And so it doesn't have any feelings either way. But it doesn't set off the debt. When we pay our electric bill, it actually makes the situation worse. So what happens is the board members, who like cash just as much as we do, they take the cash and create double the debt. Well, what does double the debt do? It creates what's called the national debt. And that's the old, Americans are in so much debt.
Yes.
Well, no, we're not. The corporations are in debt. Because that's how they want it, because they want us to continue to fork over our cash to them. Because they can use cash, the people, not the corporations.
Sure.
It's kind of a switch. Like corporations need credit, not debt.
It's exactly, and it's
who run them want debt, not credit.
And it's a kind of the system at this point, or the way the system or the structure is being used is that it's gonna self-implode or pop like a bubble sometime here. It feels like, because in a way then this means that they have to gain more and more and more and more debt basically in order to pay the previous debt. But this is gonna again bring in more debt, so it's gonna pop, right? The bubble's gonna pop.
Well, not if we call their bluff, which is what I think is going to happen. I don't know if you're familiar with George Green.
Yes, I've heard of him. Yes.
Have you? Yeah. Now he says watch out for September 30th, because that's the U.S. fiscal year. By that I mean the fiscal year of the corporation called the United States government. Keep in mind, it's not a government; it's a corporation called that. So, what he's saying is watch out. And I say, well, we got a little under 60 days to call their bluff and say there is no national debt. All you're saying is that every time we've given you cash, of course we can't pay the interest because the interest doesn't exist, right? If they only create so much cash and they want interest on it, well, how can you pay something that isn't there, right?
Yes.
And if, just in case you don't grasp that, that would be the same as my borrowing your car with a full tank of gas and bringing you back more car than I borrowed. It's an impossibility.
Right.
So when banks lend you money and want interest back, well, where's the interest?
Yes.
unless they create it, and they're not going to do that without charging you interest, right?
Right.
So it's just this laughable circumstance. And I contend that if we can get enough people, especially those who think they're about to lose their houses with foreclosure, if we can get through to these people and say, you don't owe the bank owes you. They've been using your credit for however many years, and they've never paid any tax on it. So they owe us. So then, we sick the IRS on them and say, go in and get my credit for me. Because the promissory note that most people use to get the loan for the house was the payment for the house right up front, right in the first place. Why? Because you put your signature onto a piece of paper. And remember, the signature is worth, well, billions. It's unlimited credit. So they took that promissory note and they converted it. And they've been selling it and using it. So the bank's gotten paid who knows how many times. And they also want us to pay every month.
Yes.
So people have been going back in and getting not only the value of the note, but also the monthly payments. Imagine having everything you've ever put into your house come back to you in the form of a check from the tax agent. It's fabulous. Anyway, and of course, yeah, right. So, all you're looking for is an updated, well, we won't go there. But anyway, so will the system implode? Well, we could say yes, and that's good news, or we could say no, it'll simply start to operate the way it's supposed to. But just like a cornered dog, they may not go down nicely.
Right,
they
right.
They fight and to the bitter end, even though they know they're losing, and it may get a little bit uncomfortable, and there may be some casualties. But I am sticking to an intention that is, once enough of us catch on, they simply won't have an option, and they'll have to start behaving themselves. And people who are in the positions of enforcing, for example, the police or the banker who says, you overdrafted your account, so we're going to charge you $30 on top of that, they're going to catch on that they've been duped and that they are in fact guilty of wronging their brothers, And if they think that the banks aren't going to do the same things to them as they've done to us, they need to think again. So, cops who are locking people up for ridiculous reasons, they got to get that what goes around comes around, and they're going to get locked up when their usefulness has been fulfilled. Usefulness has been fulfilled.
Right.
They're simply going to say, "Thanks, Buster. Now you're up." People have to back out of unethical behavior, and the whole issue is about ethics.
Yes, I totally agree, and that's a very, positive note as well in regards to that. There's so much doom and gloom, so to speak, right now in regards to the financial system that everything is going to collapse and so forth. And but it's more how we utilize the system and use it, because the structure, as you say, kind of is there in place. We just have to operate it in the correct way in order to make it work, basically. But Mary, let's do like this. Let's take a short break right here and continue talking more about this in our members section. I want to definitely go into a little bit more about kind of the idea of a natural person versus an artificial person. We haven't really kind of talked about the idea of the birth certificates and how actually a person is turned into a corporation at birth and so forth. There's many things we can talk about also in regards to your name when it is in capital letters, what that implies and so forth. There's much more coming up here. But before we finish this segment off, tell us a little bit about your website and how people can find a copy of the book that we've been mainly talking about here today, Mary.
Okay, I don't have a website.
You don't?
No, the Natural Person website is not mine.
Really?
It's just a friend who posted my book on his website. And although I love him like crazy, I have to tell you, I have a real problem with the concept of natural person, because the word person itself means legal fiction or corporation.
Mm-hmm.
So an artificial person is an artificial corporation.
Right.
Natural person is a natural corporation or legal fiction. So the distinction is not between men and women and corporations. The distinction is the uppercase name is what is commonly known as a natural person, but it still doesn't have anything to do with men and women. An artificial corporation is something like Sears.
Right.
Or ABC Electric. That's an artificial corporation, meaning that there is no life attached to it. It's complete fiction. A natural person is still a corporation, a legal fiction, but it's connected to a real man or woman. But the uppercase name we've kind of let go as far as significance goes, because when we raised so much hell about it, who knows how long ago, we started noticing that they try and bluff it. For example, the names on birth certificates now, I think, are showing up as capitalized. Or, for example, a court order might have a normal first